What's up YouTube? Jim Comics here. 2022 was a great year for Nintendo Switch owners. The first half was definitely better than the second half, but it was still a year full of large releases and long-awaited sequels. Without wasting any more time, here are the top 10 Nintendo Switch exclusive, or at least currently exclusive, games of 2022. I'm trying to keep my opinion out of this as much as possible, but I will provide my personal insight for the games I've played and the games I've heard a lot about. And at number 10, we have Nintendo Switch Sports. When the Switch first released, fans were disappointed at the lack of a true pack-in title. The Wii U beforehand had Nintendo Land, a spectacular multiplayer game collection, and of course, the Wii had the iconic Wii Sports, one of the highest grossing games of all time due to its pack-in status. The game was followed up with Wii Sports Resort, and both games gained a cult, casual following and spawned a flurry of internet memes. Everyone was surprised to see another Wii Sports game 6 years into the Nintendo Switch's life, revealed in February and slated for April. But alas, we weren't dreaming. Needless to say, the game did not live up to the hype. It had a very solid gameplay at its core, and harkened back to the original Nintendo sports games. However, the lackluster selection of sports and lack of content disappointed players. Badminton was a weird choice, especially over baseball, basketball, or boxing, or even a new sport. And only 5 sports was a slap in the face, considering the 12 sports of Wii Sports Resort. At the end of the day though, Switch Sports was a solid game at its core, with great online play for a Nintendo game, and the cool feature of collecting clothing and titles for your Mii or Sportsmate. In 9th place we have Fire Emblem Warriors Free Hopes. A well-reviewed warrior-style spin-off of the Fire Emblem Free Houses released this year. The game centers around 2 timelines. The first takes place prior to the events of Three Houses, and the second afterwards, where the player controls a warrior previously slain by the protagonist of Three Houses, Byleth, and things develop from there. The game is as good as most Warriors games, and features the formula's iconic 1 vs 100 gameplay and large playable character roster. While not praised as the best Warriors game, it is still very good. In 8th place we have Live Alive, or Live Alive, or Live Alive, whatever it's called. A remake of the Super Famicom original, Live Alive is an extremely unique concept for an RPG and the first time it has come to America. The player journeys through 7 campaigns taking place during different eras in history, each of unique gameplay styles while still featuring the same RPG core. Each of the chapters, from the western to the near future, are reasonably short but extremely fun. I got the game for Christmas and I've currently played through the prehistoric and western chapters, and both feel like wonderful mini RPGs. At the end of the game, the storylines converge and the main characters unite to fight a greater evil, adding even more content to this, albeit pretty short game. The HD 2D art style is gorgeous here as always. The game is, as I said, really short, but Live Alive is an underrated gem on the console. In 7th place we have Pokemon Legends Arceus. I hate to break it to you, but this is the only Pokemon game on this list. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet are really lazy and glitchy, and did not need to come out so soon, especially with so little polish. However, Pokemon Legends Arceus was actually a decently polished game, and truly brought the Pokemon concept to the open world style. This was the first time that you could actually throw a Pokeball in a real Pokemon game. Let's Go and Pokemon Go don't count. The art style took heavy inspiration from Breath of the Wild, which certainly isn't a bad thing, and while there were a couple of graphical hiccups, it wasn't nearly as bad as Scarlet and Violet. Arceus is probably one of the biggest leaps forward for the Pokemon franchise, and I hope the next Pokemon generation, however far away it is, takes more inspiration from this than Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, which granted did adapt the open world concept that this game laid the groundwork for. In 6th place we have Triangle Strategy. To be honest, I know very little about this game, but I know that it is one of the best RPGs on the Switch. It uses the HD 2D art style that Live Alive does, and features 3 separate campaigns or main characters that probably emerge at the end, hence the triangle in the title. The game featured a strategy RPG gameplay style, like another upcoming game on this list. The big standout is its political undertones. The decisions that you make lead to your party members voting differently at different points in the story, and the game is themed on medieval political scheming, sort of like Game of Thrones. Breaking into our top 5 is Kirby and the Forgotten Land. As a huge Kirby fan, Forgotten Land was such a pleasant surprise that took the series forward in a way that I did not expect HAL Labs to be capable of. The pink puffball's first full foray into the third dimension, Forgotten Land took the concept of Mario 3D World and applied it to the Kirby franchise, incorporating Kirby's iconic copy ability, while also introducing mouthful mode. The game's music was phenomenal, and it looked and ran really well in both docked and handheld mode. The story, like most Kirby games, took a dark turn near the end and featured a pretty fun post-game. Near the end, the difficulty extremely spikes as well, especially the final arena. As someone who has 100% completed this game, I was never bored, and it is definitely worth checking out, even if it is shorter than most 3D Nintendo games. Check out my first impressions and full review of this game on the channel for more on it. In 4th place is Mario + Rabbids Sparks of Hope. The original Mario + Rabbids was such a surprise early on in the Switch's life, and its sequel is a banger as well. This game is more themed around the Mario Galaxy games, my personal favorite games of all time, so it obviously introduces Rabbid Rosalina into this universe. The gameplay is more open than before, with larger worlds to explore and the absence of the grid system for combat. Admittedly, the game is less Mario focused than the original, introducing more brand new characters and enemies, which rubs some people, possibly me, the wrong way. I don't know how I feel about it. Additionally, the game doesn't have the same weapon collecting system of the first, leading some to view it as a downgrade from the original. Regardless, Sparks of Hope was a great game that did expand upon the original in many aspects. In 3rd place is Bayonetta 3. Bayonetta 2 is arguably the best Wii U game, so its long-awaited sequel had large black boots to fill, and it did. Platinum Games brought their A-game to Bayonetta 3, with the series combat once again returning gloriously, with all its action and glory. The story is good and confusing as always, but generally viewed as worse than 2's. The new playable character Viola is fun to play as. The new summons mechanic is the biggest and best addition, allowing the player to call in large kaiju-looking beasts to help Bayonetta. The game even won Game of the Year award for Best Action Game. It has joined the Astral Chain as one of the best edgy action games on the Switch. Coming in 2nd place is Xenoblade Chronicles 3. Xenoblade Chronicles 2 was a controversial release during the Switch's first year, as most Xenoblade fans viewed it as an undeniable step down from the first game. This July, however, Monolith Soft redeemed themselves with Xenoblade Chronicles 3, which combined the stories of both 1 and 2. Additionally, it featured a new world to explore, tons of new game mechanics, and a great soundtrack. I hate to reference the Game Awards once again, but Xenoblade Chronicles 3 was nominated for Game of the Year. This was an excellent 3rd installment in the Xenoblade franchise, but there was one other 3rd installment that toppled this one. And coming in 1st place is Splatoon 3. It may not have been the most original sequel, but Splatoon 3 is one of the best Nintendo Switch games, if not one of the best Nintendo games ever. This is the hardest Nintendo has ever tried to create a good, user-friendly, hardcore online game, and they absolutely succeeded. The graphics are leagues better than Splatoon 2. It may not look like that initially, but comparing videos of both games shows just how gorgeous Splatoon 3 looks, especially on the OLED. The story mode takes the best aspects of the previous main game's campaigns and the Octo Expansion DLC to make the best campaign the series has ever put out. Salmon Run is back and better than before, with the addition of egg tossing, changing up the timing of the mode, and the new bosses adding more variety. Kohozuna is the best boss in Salmon Run, as the golden eggs need to be used up to destroy him, and they jeopardize your entire attempt at the run, changing the way the game is played. The card mode is cute and a nice distraction to play between modes, and the locker allows for even more customization. The new lobby is the best of any Nintendo game, beating out ARMS. All things considered, Splatoon 3 is just an awesome game. It doesn't miss in any way. Some may have wanted more, but with the gargantuan amount of content and promise of free updates, this game is undoubtedly the best Nintendo Switch exclusive of this year, and my personal favorite game of the year. So those are the top 10 Nintendo Switch exclusives of 2022. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe to the channel for both more video game news and more movie news. Thank you for watching. JM Comics, out.